So the host, Chris LeBron, we got an emergency pod right here. We got to talk about a lot of stuff going on in the world of the NBA draft and pertaining to to my beloved New York Knicks. So who better to join me than the man, the myth, the legend? I got Triple N. What's going on, brother?
Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's been a minute since I've been on the Off the Ball podcast, so it feels very good to be here with my guy, Chris LeBron. And like you said, it's an emergency because there's a lot to talk about.
Yes, and we kind of just put this together like not too long ago. We're like, yo, there's a lot of stuff going on. Like I said, the draft's tomorrow. Let's link up and let's do it. If you don't know Triple and he is also the host of Knicks Fan Wild and what our guy Don Juan.
Sure.
Um, so Trip, lot of stuff, lot of rumors, and this is rumor central. We all know that. A lot of rumors we're hearing right now, especially pertaining our Knicks, with regarding maybe the possibility of moving up to that number 4 pick, that coveted number 4 pick, which where the draft kind of where it starts, right? We kind of know the top 3 who's going to go, whether what order is whatever, but we know the top 3 picks are going to be. Things start shaking at 4. That's where things get
Mhm.
interesting at the draft. So we're hearing a lot of rumors. The Knicks and I've kind of like brought this up in the past, like the Knicks should try to the possibility of moving up somehow and to maybe target Ivy. And that's what we're hearing. Knicks are interested in moving up to 4 to 5. We've heard that. So just give me your thoughts about the possibility of the Knicks moving up to 4 and whether that's the right move or whether that's the wrong move.
Listen, we talked about this last week on our show on Knicks Fans Wallet when he jumped on. The Knicks point guard situation has been a complete mess for years. I mean,
Yep.
years. We're talking about when was the last time the Knicks had a good point guard? We got to go down this slippery slope. We just don't have time right now.
Remember, that's a whole that you could do a week long episode shows on that, man. That's been
Yeah.
it's bad.
Hey, that's a good idea. We got to talk about that. But anyway, listen, if they move up to 4 and they really like Jaden Ivey, I say go for it because listen, we're all casual fans here. We love the Knicks, passionate, but we're not spending millions of hours like these guys. And listen, I just finished watching the movie Hustle on Netflix with Adam Sandler,
Yep.
and you see the work that these scouts put in. I mean, that movie was fictional, but you can see the work that these scouts put in. So if the New York Knicks, somebody like Walt Perrin or Brock Aller, the Cap Guru genius, if they really like Jaden Ivey, this they haven't steered us wrong when it comes to drafting players. So listen, is it the right or wrong move? It's hard to say now because we don't see the pieces that are going and the pieces that are coming. So it's a question that's really tough to answer. But when you look at Jaden Ivey's film, I mean, the guy's dynamic, a lot of John Morant in him, athletic, quick, great vision. I mean, he has little flaws to his game, and he's 19 years old. He's going to continuously to improve. So if we
Mhm.
draft that guy, he's going to be the point guard of the future, and this could be finally, the New York Knicks have an answer at point guard. And listen, at the end of the day, that's all we really want and need.
Yes, and we talked about like Trip, like it's been a we talked about this relentlessly about like, hey, no more stop gates, no more band-aids at that guard position, the lead guard position. Like we need to find someone who's going to be our guy for the next, whatever amount of years, right? And we talked about this on your show. If you are 1,000%, if that's your guy, if Ivy is your guy, and you're like, he is going to change us, he's going to change the direction of the franchise, he's going to put us where we want to be in the next few years, then you really have to inquire and see what it will take to get to for now is going to be pricey, right? It's going to be expensive because you're moving up 7 spots, and you know, and we all know it is Sacramento, so you never know. That's what they we don't know what they're thinking. I mean, they didn't even work out Ivy, and they could take him, and then they did that with Davion Mitchell, and they've done that with a lot of prospects. They don't even work them out, and they just take them. So it could cost us, and it could cost us a player like an Obi Toppin or an Emmanuel quickly. And but the Knicks front office has to be like, okay, we know we got to sacrifice a player and some picks. But if we are 100% sure that Ivy is that dude and he's going to be an all-star, he's going to be a franchise altering type player, then yeah, it sucks that we might have to give up an Obi Toppin, but we can maybe find another Obi Toppin like, you know,
Mhm.
in maybe in this draft or next year or whatever. But an Ivy, we can't find that type of player. And if we can get up to four, then that's something we have to do. You know, you got to give up something to get something, right?
Yeah.
Old adage, right? We know that. So, how do you feel about the possibility of maybe having to give it up on Obi Toppin, who played good towards the end of the last season? But it was the end of last season. That's kind of like the, I always refer to it as like the end of a school year, right? Like the teachers are just like, all right, let's just get it over with. The school kids are like, get it over with. So you just it's like whatever. So like you don't want to put too much into that. But it was positive to see Obi, you know, he had some outbursts, you know, some 40-point, 30-point games where he looked good. But it was against competition where you're like, you know, they're not really going 100 and we're not in the playoff picture. So you can take it both ways. But how you feel about the possibility of maybe having to give up picks and maybe an Obi Toppin?
Yeah, we're so prisoner of the moments, all of us. I
Right.
definitely suffer from this. So we tend to forget the struggle that Quickly had during the year. And I was still pulling for the kid and rooting for the kid. And he finally broke out. Look, I love Emmanuel Quickly. I really don't want to trade Quickly. I really believe in him, and that's somebody that will hurt to get rid of if that's what it takes. So that's something that I really can't. I can't go down that slope right now. But pertaining to Obi Toppin as well, I really like Obi. I really believe that Tibbs was just not giving the kid a fair shake, because it's
Mhm.
tough. It's tough to play the game of basketball when you're constantly looking over your back.
Of
And I
course.
feel like Obi, every time he shot and missed, he was just looking over his back like Tibbs was gonna take him. He was putting a lot of pressure on himself. And listen, Obi Toppins was one of the worst 3-point shooter in the league, if not the worst,
Yeah,
for
he
a
wasn't
long
good.
time. And you saw when he finally got that playing time and he knew that he was gonna play and not be taken out the game if he made a mistake. I mean, the kid started balling and he felt loose. He
Mhm.
felt that's his game right there. He
Yeah.
has to play loose. He has to be driving, stand in the corner and hit that open three if it's there, and he could put the ball on the floor. Obi, he's really dynamic, and I wish Tibbs would have gave him more time last year. And if he's still on this team, I definitely think that Tibbs needs to find a way to get him more than 12 to 15 minutes. He cannot play 12 to 15 minutes next year. If Julius Randle is still on the squad, it doesn't matter. You have to get more than 12 to 15 minutes for Obi. But as you just said, you have to give to get. It's just the way it works. It's the way of the
Mhm.
land. And they say Jaden Ivey plays a lot like John Morant. Think about it. If John Morant right now was on the market, what kind of package would the Knicks be willing to give up for John Morant? You know what I'm saying? So that's again trusting this front office. If this front office wholeheartedly believes that Jaden Ivey is that player,
Mhm.
listen, you just have to go for it. Whether it's OB picks, you just have to see what's out there. You have to see what Sacramento is gonna willing, what Sacramento wants for
Yeah.
that fourth pick. So it'll hurt to get rid of Obi, man, and picks. But listen, man, if that's what Sacramento wants and that's what the front office believes is the game changing point guard that eluded the Knicks for many years,
Mhm.
you have to do it. You have to do it.
You have to, yeah. And look at Julius Randle still on his roster. I know every Knicks fans want to get rid of Julius Randle for a bag of chips and some Gatorade powder, but like he's still on the team, and that hinders Obi Toppin a lot, right? Like I know we want to get on Tibbs and all that play Obi more, but it's like it's hard when his position essentially is where Randall is, and until if Randall's still on the team, it's going to be hard, for Obi to get those minutes that we want to see him get, right? So we got to factor that, and Randall's extension hits this year. It's just starting,
Yeah,
So it's not like it's like maybe we got a year or two left. No, it's kicking in right now.
yeah.
So like he's here, like, and it's not going to be easy to get rid of him, especially with his value being so low. You're not going to trade him with his value being at its lowest, right? And that's why people were talking about last year, like maybe you should have traded him when the everything was rocking
Some
and you
people
could have
were
maybe
right.
got, yeah, like, and I heard that and people were like, nah, how can you do that? It's like, hey, do you
Very.
buy Randall being this type of player long term? And I think a lot of people were like, okay, he's playing really good basketball, but like, is this sustainable? And now we're seeing that like now everyone wants to get rid of him, you know. So
Crazy.
and it's like I said, it's not going to be easy to get rid of
Yeah,
him.
and Sacramento, they got some bonus. They
And they
traded
got some bonus
Halliburton.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
they
like it
traded
doesn't even fit.
Halliburton.
It
Yeah,
doesn't even make a fit. Like people are like, oh, let's trade Randall to Sacramento for the pick, and it's like they got some bonus.
yeah.
They're not doing that. Like I know they're crazy and they're Sacramento and they'll take the same position, but like they can't. They're not that dumb, you know, where they'll take this player who's essentially kind of similar to Sabonis' style that just not doesn't make any sense. So like I don't. That's a real thing to me. Like that's just
Yeah,
that's
Chris,
not
and
real.
I see it as a double-edged sword too. Like, if Julius Randle's on this team, next year I'm gonna be like, oh man, damn. But listen, Sab Sabonis got the Pacers Halliburton, which is a great young guard. So listen, if Julius Randle could raise his stock again, maybe not to that level because people are going to be a little leery about him, his up and down. But if we trade Julius Randle right now, we are definitely getting a bag of Skittles and two pennies, definitely on that dollar. So
Mm-hmm.
if we can wait, if Julius Randle can pick up his value again, maybe that's something that I'll be down for because his contract is just kicking in. But that max salary, it's never gonna get too crazy. I think the maxed out he's gonna get is I believe 32, 33, which is doable in today's
Yeah.
NBA. I
Oh
mean, you
yeah.
see Bradley Beal, Kyrie Irving, all these guys getting the super max. You're
40,
talking
50,
about 55,
50
60
million.
million dollars.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
when you get a good player in Julius Randle. Knicks fans don't like to admit he's a good player, but 2010 and 5 is good. Now, we
Yes.
talk about his attitude on the court. That's a different subject, a different topic that definitely rubs all of us the wrong way. Nobody's likes that attitude that he brings and that flair that rubs people off the wrong way. But
Yes.
listen, 2010 and 5 and that power and that force that he got, Julius Randle is not that bad of a basketball player, but he needs to still be traded from the Knicks.
Yeah, and I think that's ultimately what they need to do because I think you got to let these let and let some of these young guys flourish. I think we got to go that route. Not saying it's not a full rebuild per se, but I because I think a lot of our young guys are more advanced where it's not a true rebuild. But I feel like you draft Ivy, let's say that does happen, uh, you're gonna have to kind of maybe go that route. That might have to be the route, and they may not be sexy for some people, but but you may have to reach because it's like, all right, 2 years ago, right, we fourth seed, all the good stuff. Then last year happens. Like, what are we? And then that's the one place you don't be stuck in the middle, correct? Because you got to figure out, are we going to go left or we're going to go right? And it's kind of like, so we got to. That's another thing they got to figure out. Like, okay, are we more of the team that was the fourth seed that had a home playoff, home court advantage in the first round, or are we more of the team last year that didn't even make the play?
Yeah, and that's what I want to see this offseason from the front office because I feel like last year we was left in no man's land, especially at the trade deadline. We just figured out we're just not that good anymore. We're not good. We're gonna have a bad year,
Mm-hmm.
and I felt like we could have tried to trade the vets. Listen, I understand at the end of the day that people were axing maybe for assets, which would have hindered us. But we didn't pick a direction. We came out of the All Star break. We still started Alec Burks. Taj Gibson is
At
still
the
getting
at the lead guard spot too. That
Taj Gibson is
infuriated my
getting minutes.
soul,
So
bro.
it was like, what direction are we going? We're
Yeah, there was
losing,
no direction.
and we're not playing our youth. So what are we doing? So that's why this offseason, listen, Knicks fans understand. If we pick that route that you said, that maybe left route where we're just playing our young guys, and trying to figure things out, building around, like you said, if we trade for Ivy and RJ, and hopefully we could keep Quick, building that way, then that's something I'm sure Knicks fans will understand and get behind. But don't come through again, and now we're playing Obi 10 minutes. We still have Randall on this team, and it's just veterans are playing over rookies, and we're still losing 5 out of 8, and we're still blowing 25-point lead. Now, I don't want that. Don't do that
Yeah.
next year. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, that can't happen. Like that, you gotta fix that up big time, and that's they gotta figure out. But obviously, this is a hot thing, and also you've heard. Also, the possibility of them moving up to 5 with Detroit. There's been some chatter that they might move up to 5. Now, I don't know if that means that 4 that Ivy that they feel like Ivy gonna drop to 5 because you just never know. Like last year, I thought Jalen Suggs it was gonna be Toronto's taking Jalen Suggs, and that didn't happen. So anything's possible. So is that a thing, or do they have someone else? Do they have a plan B? Like to me, I discussed this on my last show. If the Ivy stuff is too rich and it's just too expensive, and the Kings want quickly OB and picks, I'll be okay with the Knicks being like, all right, maybe one of those guys and some
Yeah,
picks. You can't have both. Like that's just a little. That's too much. I'm cool if that's what happens and the Knicks say no to that. I think a lot of Knicks fans and myself and maybe you
yeah,
would be
definitely.
like, all right, I'm yeah, all right. That was smart to not do that, right? That's not because it's still Ivy is still an unknown commodity. We don't know what he's gonna be. Like we think we like to think that he's gonna be something, but we don't know. But maybe Plan B is okay. Dyson Daniels. That's another guy you hear a lot, right? I've been on him a lot. I think him and Ivy are my two top guys on my Knicks draft board. Like I would love one of those two guys in New York. Maybe he's in play at 5 if they can move up to Detroit. Because I know Detroit also wants to move up too to 4. And they might have to give up as much because they only got to move up one spot, where the Knicks have to move up 7. So that might be doable. So what do you feel about that scenario if the Ivy at 4 is not in play?
Uh, Dyson Daniels, he's just a super unknown man. Listen, he could be a little like Josh Giddey. I've been hearing the comps there, and his,
Yes.
his his shooting is improving tremendously. He's 6'8". You cannot teach 6'8". A lead
No.
guard, another lead guard with tremendous vision. Uh,
Can guard multiple positions,
for yeah.
right? And it's just keep getting better and
But
better.
then at that point, I would figure like because Detroit's gonna want a lot too. I mean, they're a rebuilding team. Their pricing is gonna be maybe not as steep as 4, but they're still gonna want multiple picks. They're still gonna want
Mhm.
Obi or Cam, and then at that point where you feel like Jaden Ivey is a short thing, possibly. There's never a short thing when you draft him, but Dyson Daniels is such a tremendous risk that
Yes.
I'll be very leery because listen, like I said, Dyson Daniels, I really like him as well, but at the end of the day, he's gonna take some time. It's gonna take some time from him. You can see his game is still improving. He really struggled in the beginning in the G League, and
Yes.
then his game started picking up. His shooting started improving. So the NBA is going to be another adjustment for Dyson Daniels. So that Detroit number 5 at that point, I rather just sit back and see who falls because somebody will fall. Somebody's dropping in this draft. You mentioned it last time with Jalen Suggs last year dropped right into Orlando's hands. So I
Mhm.
feel like somebody will drop. There's a lot of decent players here at the top, and listen, if I think we can get a good player at number 11 and not give up these assets just to move for an unknown commodity like Dyson Daniels. And listen, again, I'm saying the same thing. Jaden Ivey is an unknown commodity as
Mhm.
well, but he seems more like a surefire player.
Yeah. And also there's another the Knicks can trade down. The
Yeah.
Knicks can trade down to it if they feel like all right, Dyson Daniels isn't there. Obviously Ivy is not in play. Maybe Johnny Davis is gone. AJ Griffin gone. Maybe if those are their 4 guys and they're gone, then all right, trade down and maybe let's just accumulate another pick or something and get like a Malachi Brangham or something like that
We've
later.
done that the last 2 years. We
Yeah, and they
drafted
did that last year, right?
we drafted quickly after trading down.
Yeah,
And we drafted last year Grimes after trading down. So
yeah,
these guys, this guy Brock Aller and Walt Perryman, they're just so good at the draft. I mean, this is where they excel. This might be the best thing that the Knicks front office has. We've seen it. I mean, the trades could be a little shaky. The D Rose trade was a win. The Cam Reddish trade to BD, but this front office, they excel at the draft. So I'm pretty excited. I'm really, really excited to see what they do because I'm sure they can trade up, like you mentioned, and their guys are down. They're going to get really creative, moving on down. And the NBA, there's a lot of teams. There's a lot of teams trying to move up. So I'm sure
yeah.
the Knicks can pick up. And as you know, your draft guru yourself, next year's draft is looking real, real nice.
Ooh,
real nice.
that I can't wait to get into next year's draft. And that's like once I'll take a little time off, take like a week off and then get right into 2023. I plan on going like full bore into that one because that's
Can't
where
wait.
we know tanking is prevalent in the league. They're gonna be teams tanking hard,
I see a team
hard.
like the Pacers, man. I don't think the Pacers really want to win at all. I think they're just trying to unload on this Brogdon, and they're the ones that are
Yes,
releasing
they
the.
want to. Yeah, they want to
They're
tank.
the one that's saying that the Knicks want to trade the 11th. I just do not believe that rumor. As no matter how many people say it,
Yeah.
I don't believe that the Knicks will be willing to part with 11 to get Brogdon.
No,
They're the ones
and
making that. Miles Turner, they trying to get out.
yeah,
Listen, they like Halliburton. They like who they're gonna pick this year, and they like Chris Duarte. But I think that they don't want to win next year. They're gonna definitely be one of those teams tanking. As
yeah. Oh, that's a fact. That they're on the top of that board. Obviously Oklahoma City is going to be there. There's going to be teams that because there's some guys next year that could be generational talents.
so I've
It's
heard.
yeah. So it's that's going to be, but we're going to see a lot of tanking this year for sure. That's for sure. But like you just mentioned with Brogdon, right? And that's another rumor you hear, like the Knicks possibly be interested in Brogdon and moving up to 11. I personally, that doesn't really excite me. And it's not that Brogdon's not a good player because he's someone who's crazy efficient. He's, you know, kind of a player we kind of need. But to me, the injuries, he's always hurt, bro. He's always hurt. Like if he was not hurt, if he was someone that's on the court all the time and you could rely on, like, I'd be like, yeah, I mean, for 11th pick to get a guy who's getting 20 a game, that's efficient, 40% from three, 50, 40, 90 type of guy. That's who wouldn't want to take a player like that, but he's always hurt, bro. And I don't I you know how that works with the with the Knicks. He comes to the Knicks and he's playing 20 games, 30 games, and that could backfire on us big time. So like and what's your thoughts on like that rumor Brogdon to 11
Listen,
or
I go
11?
back. You know us crazy Knicks fans. I go back to the Antonio McDyess days where we gave up
Yeah.
a first round pick to get that man, and he blew out his knees right in training camp. I think in a
Yeah,
preseason game.
we traded that pick for Nate. I think to Denver, and I think Denver took Nene, right? They
Yep,
took
exactly.
Nene, yeah.
So it's just like I ask Knicks fans this when I see the Brogdon, and they be like, "Yeah, we don't have a point guard. That'd be good." When was the last time the New York Knicks, think about this question, had a player that was injury prone, still took the risk on him, and it turned out as a good gamble? I mean, you think there's a
Yeah.
long list. Amari Stoudemire is one name
Yeah.
that comes to mind. Just that he gave us that half a season, and then his knees was shot after that. Just
Yeah.
The Knicks just don't have that type of luck, man. They don't have luck moving up in the draft, and they don't have luck with players that are injury prone coming in. So Brogdon, as you mentioned,
Mhm.
very efficient player. Another lead guard, like we mentioned, a point guard that will be the best point guard the Knicks have had in a decade easily. But he's just too injury prone. And I'd
Yeah.
rather take a risk with that 11 pick. As I said, I love this front office drafting. I remember last year they was hell bent. They really wanted to draft Chris Duarte. They wanted to move up. Knicks fans was killing it. He's too old. He'll
Mhm.
be a bad pick. And Duarte was rookie of the year for the beginning of the year before that toe started hurting him. So
Yeah.
this front office is smart, efficient, and they know how to draft. So you got to let
Yeah.
them play with that 11th pick, man. You
Yeah.
can't just trade it for
Yeah.
Brogdon, who's a known player already.
Yeah, and Brogdon only played 36 games last year and is 29, so he'll be 30 next year. Like that just screams disaster.
Yeah, for sure.
Trip. That screams disaster. Like I said, he's a really really good player, but he did struggle shooting the ball from three. Like he's usually a very reliable 3-point shooter, and usually he's in the high 30 range. 39 to 40%. Only shot 31%. So like, are we seeing all those injuries finally catch up to him? Still got you 19 a game, but is it coming? Is that cliff coming? And then he comes to the Knicks, and then he's 14, 13 a game, and then it's like Kemba all over again, right?
Yeah.
So it's like I don't. He's a great player. Nah, I'm good.
Good
I'll
player.
pass.
Good player. He's a good
Good
player.
player, but and even if we would get him, I don't think he's gonna change where we are. Like I'm not gonna be like I
Chip
don't
would
think people
throw
are gonna be
that
like we
man.
had Brogdon and like, oh, we're gonna be a playoff team. Like just by adding him. You know.
Tibbs is gonna wear that man out in the first 20 games. Tibbs is gonna play that man 40 minutes a night when the front office gives him you only could play him to 30 minutes. Tibbs is gonna just ride 40 minutes a night and
Mm-hmm.
he's gonna be washed up in 20 games here. You
Yep.
just can't you just can't get injury prone plays for Tibbs, man. Tibbs don't have no chill. He plays his plays way too many minutes. That's a known fact. That's not gonna change.
Yeah.
So again, a different topic that we will have a different show on. But Tibbs is gonna play these guys too much, and you just can't
Yeah.
do it. You can't do it.
No, 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 no. Like, yeah, like I said, they'll stay away from that. Like, that I'm cool with that not happening for sure. But what's your gut feeling, bro? Tomorrow's the NBA draft. Like I said, we got the 11th pick. We also got the 47th pick in the second round. Those are valuable too. You can still get a really good player, especially with a lot of these underclassmen coming out. You can get a first round talent in that second round pick, and maybe the guard that we want. Maybe in second round, you can get a good player. So, gut feeling, Trip. What you feeling? How you feeling? Who do you? You're the GM. Got the 11th pick. They like, yo, Trip. It's up to you. Who we taking with 11th pick?
Man, I got this like like your conscience. You got the angel and you got the devil right here. You're just looking at these guys like this guy. He got his Knicks fitted on, and
Yep.
it's like, listen, there's a lot of smoke with this fourth round pick, and I really, really feel like the Knicks can move up. But again, I think about like I mentioned earlier that last year where the Knicks really wanted to move up to get Duarte, and they had two first round picks.
Yeah.
And again, they just at the end they just said that the price was too steep. So I think it's a similar situation. Like Sacramento's price might be a little too steep, and yes, the Knicks have to start accumulating um, cashing in on some of these assets they have. But I just don't think the Kings are being that serious. They're gonna want way too much. So as much as I'm leaning Jaden Ivey, I'm believing in Jaden Ivey. I want Jaden Ivey. I just don't think that's gonna happen. So then you go to this one, and the Knicks have just shown year after year the last 2 years with this front office is that they're just going to trade back. I mean, they can pick up, they can see the
That's
player that
exactly
they
that's
want.
exactly what's gonna happen. We're just gonna end up trading back.
Yeah, you saw last year they gave up the 19th pick for a later first round that was protected, and everybody's looking around
Yeah, it
like,
was
why would they do
that
that?
protections are crazy. Like it lasts like years. The
Yeah.
protection they can go past this. So like yeah, like
And then they use it to trade for Cam Reddish. So I just feel like they're just gonna pick up more assets. We talk about next year's draft. A lot of teams are trying to just have as many first round picks next year's draft because it might be a little crazy. It might be dangerous. So, you look at teams that are looking off the top of my head. You look at a team like maybe Philadelphia, a team with James Harden and Embiid that they might see somebody that they pick and they have actually no, I don't think they have much assets, but you see somebody like the Rockets, they got into the first round. There's a lot of teams that are trying to move up. So I see like the Knicks moving down probably, and somebody fall into their lap. They've
yeah,
worked out so many guys. They've worked out so many dudes this year, and I'm sure they like somebody. And you know better than me that this draft it might have some sneaky good players later in the round. When you go from I'll say 10, maybe not 10, maybe where the Knicks at 11 to 30. I mean, it gets real like a vertical line right there where you can find value later on.
oh yeah, that's dude. Like the trade down scenario, it may be disappointing initially because that means we didn't get Dyson or we didn't get Jaden, but you can still get a good player. There's some good players that you can get later, and I know a guy I like that he's risen a lot through the draft process. Jalen Williams from San Francisco, like he's super skilled, 7 foot wingspan. Just someone to be on the lookout for the Knicks. There's guys you can get even if it's at stay at 11 or they move down a little bit, because they feel like they want to get an extra, extra pick or whatever, extra pick or two. Like there's some guys, the Mitchell Robinson stuff is also something to be, we have to, monitor
Mhm.
because do they, if he stays or he goes, like if let's say they stay out and they take like Mark Williams or they take like Jalen Duran, that tells us everything about the Mitchell Robinson stuff. That means, hey, he's gone.
Yep.
He's out, and you hear stuff that there's possibility that they're in contract negotiations, but you know how those things go. Like it could go left, it can go right, and so we don't know. He might have his number, and the Knicks have their number, and they're like, they come at an impasse. So like, that's another thing. We're thinking guards and we're thinking wings, and when the Knicks go take Mark Williams or Jalen Duran, it's like, whoa, okay, we didn't, we thought maybe something like that could happen, but that was like, worst case scenario, and so that's another thing, but there's a lot. There's still good players. You can get good players, and like saying everyone wants to hit the grand slam, right? Everybody wants the grand. And listen, there's a part of me that feels like, yeah, you got to go get him, but at a price.
At a price.
You got to have a price. You just can't
That's a
go.
great
You can't
price.
go crazy because then Knicks fans will go crazy. Be like, oh, why do we give up so much? Blah, blah, blah. Especially if Jaden Hart, if if Ivy doesn't start off well,
And you
be like,
talked about
oh.
Hardy as well.
And
Hardy
Jaden
could.
Hardy, hey, I've been on the Jaden Hardy. I mocked him in my mock draft. I know people like, oh, they look at the numbers, and we talked about it on your show, my Knicks Fan Wild. Make sure to check out Knicks Fan Wild and subscribe. Check out all that 5 stars and all that with Don Juan. But we talked about that, and like I love him. I think
Yeah.
he got the bag, handled everything you want, played better towards the end. Like I know he's not a super crazy athlete, but man, he got range, improved 3-point shooter. That's a lot of things I like about that. And you add him a quick and all that. So that could be a dynamic backcourt right there with Barrett and all that. That could be really exciting, But there's guys you could get. Like
Yeah.
it's not all NBL. Yeah, not getting Ivy would be disappointing for a lot of Knicks fans or Dyson Dans or whoever else you like, Johnny Davis or whoever. But there's still some guys that you can get in that mid to late like that could help us out next season.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm not. I really, like I said, I really want Jaden Ivey, but I'm not just doom or gloom with Ivy because you just said the perfect quote for me. I want Jaden Ivey, but at a price. There's a price that I'm just not trying to go over.
100,
I
100%.
mentioned it earlier. It would hurt to lose Obi and picks, but that's what it takes. We got to do it. But if it starts becoming quickly Obi more picks, or it just becomes too much, or no protections on the pick, it becomes
Yeah.
too much. So I'm not doom and gloom because there's just a lot of players like Jaden Hardy that we mentioned, or the guard from Kansas,
Oh, Baji, yeah.
Abaji.
That's a Final Four most standing player, man. He had a really good senior season.
So that's somebody who's mocked later in the draft that you can pick up. And the Knicks, they have options. They have options, and that's what you love. That they're working the phone. They seem like they're trying to fix this point guard issues that has eluded us for years, as you hear with the Brogdon, the Ivy, even the Kyrie rumors. It's just like a position that they're trying to get. So if you pick up assets, because the free agency this year is pretty bad.
Mhm.
That's why I don't think Knicks is.
I'm not even thinking about free agency because essentially no teams have cap and there's no real big free. Like Bradley Beal, we're hearing possibly can decline his player option, but other than that, there's just no one of significance. So and
Brunson,
honestly,
hey Brunson.
but I think Dallas is going to keep him. I think they're really going to try to keep him. They just had a Christian Wood. I think they need to run it. They need to bring Brunson back. So that I don't think he'll be available. I just think you got to do it the old fashioned way, man. You got to do it through the draft. Look at what the Warriors did. Look at the team in the finals. Look at the two teams in the finals. Most of the guys drafted on their team, Boston, and so hey, gotta do it the old fashioned way, right? We thought we could do it with a couple years, 3 years ago in free agency when we didn't get, Kevin Durant. Didn't happen. We had to go. We had to go do it the old fashioned way and continue to build. Keep adding pieces. Keep adding pieces. Get the best player. Doesn't matter if he plays same position. Get the best player. If it's Johnny Davis, go add Johnny. He may not be the most ideal fit, but hey, you figure it out because the guy can get you buckets.
Yeah,
He get buckets and he's a great rebounder and all that. If that's a fit, you think it's AJ Griffin, who could shoot from the outside,
yeah.
right? Has some has some potential, has to deal with some injuries, but has some crazy potential.
Youngest player in the draft, I believe.
Yeah, so like there's get the best player. If it can't get it's not Ivy or whoever, get the best player and let's see what happens. But tomorrow's gonna be exciting, man. I don't even know if I go, you're gonna be up early tomorrow. You get ready, to prep for the draft and all that. But tomorrow can't come here any quicker, man. It's gonna be exciting. It's always exciting in Knicks world, right?
Yeah,
We too used. Unfortunately, we're used to this. We're used to being in the lottery and all that. So hopefully, we don't have to get used to this too much. But
I hope
we
not.
here. We here.
Yeah, it's gonna be exciting because right after the draft, free agency starts. It's not gonna be crazy, but the Knicks are gonna be aggressive. There was rumors that they're trying to clear cap space to make a run at Jalen Brunson, and I believe that's true because randomly today that Alec Burke report came out where he
Yes.
hurt his foot out of nowhere when it was rumors that the Knicks were aggressively trying to trade him. So it might seem like the players might be hearing the noise and they're releasing information, So I feel like the Knicks are definitely gonna try to unload Noel Burks. We know 100% Kemba's not gonna be here next year, so what
Yeah.
can what can we get for him?
Yeah.
Uh, so it's going to be an exciting offseason in far as trades because there's going to be a lot of teams wheeling and dealing, and the New York Knicks are definitely going to be one of them. So that's why I can't wait for tomorrow either. It's just going to start the domino effect of just things happening. And the NBA is such a drama filled league, 24/7 news cycle.
Yeah,
So we
man.
know that tomorrow is going to be the first domino to fall, and it's going to be a real exciting time for Knicks fans here for the next 2 weeks, and we'll be all over it.
Yep, and we'll definitely be all over it. Like I said, exciting times. We'll see what happens tomorrow. We'll see who they'll pick at the 11th pick, or they move up to 4, they move up to 5, they move back down. A lot of scenarios for the Knicks, but definitely exciting times, and everyone's on pins and needles seeing what happens with that 11th pick. But Trip, appreciate you coming on. This is a little short notice, but I appreciate you, coming on, chop it up. It's been a minute since we did this one on one. But every time we come on, we always got a good vibe. So appreciate you coming on, bro.
Yes, sir, man. Thanks for having me on. Definitely be on soon. As we said, there's going to be a lot of exciting time the
Yes,
next
we'll
2 weeks.
definitely be on after. We'll discuss what the Knicks do. We'll definitely do something after the draft happens and when we know what picks and what the Knicks did. We'll definitely
Yeah,
definitely be back
yeah,
on.
President. And I know you're going to be on Knicks Fan TV tomorrow. So
Yeah,
congratulations
yeah,
on
man.
that. Keep
Year
making
two,
moves
year two, man. I'm
too.
excited, yo. Thanks. Shout out to CP for having me back on. It's when you get that DM and he's like, yo, that's like an honor, man. That's a Knicks tradition, man. A lot of Knicks fans, that's our go-to.
For
So
sure. Led
when
the
the
way.
host, when the man, the franchise, tells you, hey man, you make it work. You figure a
Sir.
way to get, hey, no, I'm on, man.
Yes,
No,
sir.
no
Yes,
ifs,
sir.
ands, or buts, you get on. So like, yeah,
Go
I'm
kill it.
excited. I'm excited about that year two on the draft show. So I'm really geeked up about that. So
Yeah,
it's
last year
definitely
was
gonna be fun.
amazing, bro. Last year was amazing. A lot of snippets, a lot of fun. So I'm sure you're gonna go kill it again next this year as well.
Yeah, man. I got all my notes. I got my binder. I got everything, man. Got everything going. Got
I can't wait.
my war room, my little setup over
I
here.
hope
But
you have
yeah,
your thing going on too with
I
your
got
sound
I
effects
got my
going.
soundboard. Where's my I got my bangs. I got my draft. It's over.
You know what I
So
need to
we
hear?
ready,
You know what
man.
I need to hear every time the Knicks make a selection? What's after that? Every time Knicks
We
make a
can.
selection.
Yeah. We're gonna get the booze ready. There's
Yes,
gonna
sir. Yes, sir.
We're gonna
Let's
get the
get
booze
it.
ready. So, like I said, I'm excited, bro. It's an honor to be on Knicks fan TV. So I'm excited for the draft. Like I said, it's gonna be a fun night. Maybe a little stressful, but for a lot of Knicks fans, when we get to that 11 pick, but it's gonna be fun, man. And like I said, appreciate you coming on the show again, man.
For sure, man. You already know the vibes, man. Check me out, Knicks fans Wild. And we actually having a jersey giveaway right now.
Yes, yes.
Make
Tell the people where they can find you and everything you got coming up because you guys have been putting out a lot of good content lately.
Yes, sir. You already know Triple M. Make sure to follow on Knicks fans Wild. And right now, go right now. We're having a RJ Barrett jersey giveaway. All you have to do is be subscribed and comment. Who do you
Mhm.
think the Knicks are gonna pick? And right or wrong, you automatically in the drawing. So make sure to do that. It's a nice black RJ Barrett jersey. Go check it out. Go check it out. You already know. Follow me at Triple M. What's up? Also follow Don Juan too as well. So there's a lot of exciting times here. We're gonna be all over it. So make sure to follow us. And yeah, shout out to my guy Chris, the president, for having me on always here on Off the Ball podcast.
Yes, yes, sir, yes, sir. Like I said, make sure to go check the Knicks fan wild out. They got a great giveaway going on. Make sure to follow Don Juan and Triple M on their socials and all that, and make sure to get that subscribe to the channel and all that. But on that note, I'm Chris LeBron, president of Off the Ball Network, host of the Off the Ball podcast. Make sure appreciate everyone who was listening live on the YouTube. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube. Trying to get to 300, trying to get to 405. We're trying to get those numbers up.
I'm
So
kidding.
make sure to subscribe, leave a like, comment, whatever. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, or any podcast platforms you're listening on. Appreciate everyone tuning in. The draft's tomorrow. Excited. Let them know. Follow me off the ball pod. Like I said, I'm gonna be on Knicks Fan TV tomorrow. So hit me up with any draft questions you got, anything you want to talk about. But exciting times in Knicks world. Let's see what happens tomorrow. And so be well, be safe, take care, and let's go Knicks.